Well, welcome back to Wrenching with Grandpa. Today we got the old girl out in the driveway. It's kind of an overcast day, but it's comfortable. And been doing a little work on her off camera, trying to get things cleaned up. As I said earlier, this poor old girl has got a ways to go to get her back up to being real pretty, but she's still looking real decent. So we're going to just go over a lot of different things today and maybe try to get an oil change done too. Um, she currently has the Valiant grills in it. However, that's going to change. We do have the egg crate grills and bevels for it. So once those get restored, which is next on the list, that will be done and those will be replaced. We're continuing to work on cleaning up of the interior pieces. They're coming along real well. I mean, thank goodness for 1960s quality vinyl. It's thick, it's wearable, it's durable, and this stuff's going to be cleaned up real nice when we get done with it. So anyway, here we are, back out on the line. These old packing blankets from U-Haul or whoever that you use to move furniture with make great Fender covers. They're soft. They are washable if you need them, but they stay in place. And if they do slide a little bit, unlike some of the other covers, they're not scratching everything up or getting in the way. Anyway, personal comment. So we're going to be looking at things here today. We've got a little bit of cleanup to do. Had this thing running earlier, and in the process of getting her warmed up for the oil change, I found out that we have a coolant leak. And I'm just not terribly surprised by that, but as it turns out, our heater core is dripping. Now, from my personal experience dealing with 1960s model cars and dashboard heater cores, yeah, it happens more often than not. So that's what we'll have to pull that out and see what's leaking. Probably we got a bad solder in a joint somewhere, or maybe in one of the feed tubes. But we'll look over that. But ironically, the heater does work. Now, I did find that the duct tubing is kind of disintegrated and not complete, but the blower works. You turn it on, defrost, the vents come on, and you do get warm air. Unfortunately, this vehicle is not equipped with factory air, but hey, that's what we got 260 air for. Anyway, been just trying to clean her up some more, start inspecting, seeing what kind of condition our interior components are in, as well as the body pan, floor pan, the vinyl inside. I don't know it's original. It almost looks like a redo, but it's decent. It's vinyl, and it's all in place, which I am grateful for. And we have 2 sun visors and a rear view mirror. We have this console. We do have all the additional parts to complete it. We also have a second console available in the garage that we're trying to determine which is going to be the better one to use in the end. Neutral safety switch issue. Apparently this car will start and drive, which isn't something I particularly care to have happen, but I suspect there, as my memory serves, these cars, like many of the cars of that period, have a sensor switch, what we call the neutral safety switch, and it's mounted somewhere in the undercarriage close to the transmission linkage, and those things do go bad, and so we'll be looking into getting that taken care of as well. But it does start and park, it does shift, it does drive back and forth. Hey, we got it out of the garage, right? So anyway, that's what's going on there. Oh, the more I've had this car, the more I love this glass. Look at that. This is what set the muscle cars of the era off, was just this wonderful glass and chrome and racing stripes and colors, things that really gave a car snap. And then when you start throwing performance stuff into it, it even made it better. So the chrome, been working on that a little bit. Most of this chrome right now has had basically 2 passes, except this only had 1 pass. But a lot of this has had 2 passes with the mother's mag and aluminum wheel polish. I just love that stuff. And again, it's looking a whole lot better. And like I said, it's 55-year-old chrome. It's not going to look brand new, but it does shine. And if you get down here close and you start looking at it, a lot of that pitting is actually coming out, and we're getting back to a lot closer to good metal. Now, like I said, you're not going to get it all out, but the more you can get out, the better. And the fact that this is chrome metal from a period when we actually produced cars with materials that were made to last, you can get a lot of good cleaning yet to do out of this. The hinge pieces only had 1 screw in them, and they were getting all cankered around and starting to get damaged on the edges. So taking those out, I clean this up a little bit more. But I'm looking to get the screws because they're kind of a quirky little fine thread screw, and this is all basically like pot metal. So you don't want to go in there and be messing around putting something in there that doesn't fit, because you will break it. But the chrome is coming along, which I'm real grateful for. From the earlier cold starts, you all probably heard this poor old girl knocking like she had a thrown rod. Well, the exhaust tips were all rotted and nasty, and a couple of the hangers back there are missing. And so it was banging on this trailer hitch, which I am very glad to say will be coming off the vehicle very soon. We'll be taking this car out to my buddy Jerry's place, putting it up on the lift and grabbing the torch and getting that off there. I'm sorry, this car was not made for towing, unless maybe you're towing a keg. It has a new gas tank on it. We got to get under here and do a little bit of cleanup, but as you can see, we now have no tips banging against the framing of the hitch. So that's always a good thing. Here in the back, we're in the process of getting the trunk weather stripping put in. This stuff works best if you're applying the sealant as well as the stripping in fairly warm weather. Now, you can get around that a little bit if you have a heat gun. Just remember, don't overheat everything, but you can get it warmed up enough to where everything works more readily. But I've kind of put off finishing this the last few days. Our temperatures haven't been that great, and I've continued to stretch it out and, you know, let it get back to a more normal form, since it's been in a coil wrap for a number of years. But been cleaning up back here, getting things kind of, all the old acorns and, you know, chipmunk debris and whatever might have been in there, and a lot of dust and stuff like that. Just trying to determine the overall condition of the pan. It appears that somebody, I don't know that this was factory, it could have been, although this doesn't necessarily look factory, not all of it anyway. Back in the day, we used to put coatings called undercoat in the wheel wells, trunk wells, and things of that nature. There's preservative and protectant, and it did a pretty good job. And you could do it aftermarket as well. The product was available, and unfortunately, I think that's what has been done here. Somebody's gone in and tried to, instead of properly cleaning up some surface rust, they just tried to spray over it with some undercoating. So we'll be looking at seeing. I don't think this pan is really rusted out at all. I think we've just got some surface rust that's popping up through some of this misapplied undercoat. But that's what a wire wheel will determine at a later date. But right now it's all solid. Like I said, we got a new fuel tank under there to put in it, or in it already. So that's good. And just been kind of getting her cleaned up, getting the nose prints off, some of the glass, and doing things like that, and continuing to work on some of this chrome and getting that looking a little nicer. And these things sit for a while. They accumulate a lot of just, they get dirty. And takes a little TLC to get them kind of back in shape, but we're getting there. The temperature gauge works, the fuel gauge does not. Speedometer not currently. The cable appears to be sitting in the box of parts in the garage, so that's be something we'll be looking at when we get it on the lift. The vacuum / tack does work, and oil pressure, no. Alternator, yes. Radio, no, because currently the antenna is unhooked and broken, but we have a replacement. It's your push button AM special feature, so you can listen to all that great talk radio and country music. The heating system, your basic standard setup, it does work, although the duct tubing right now is in disrepair, needs to be replaced, but it does blow air through the vents. The temperature settings work. However, in warming the car up for the oil change, we found that we do have a heater core leak, which is not untypical of 1960s type cars. My father and I spent most of my childhood on weekends continually replacing heater cores in his 1965 Mercury Marauder. And that car took half a day to do that because you had to disassemble most of the front of the car to get to it. Anyway, excuse me. So we'll be addressing that very shortly, because there's nothing worse than having coolant dripping on your carpet. So the lights do work, and we're going to continue with trying to get all that rigged up. One thing I've noticed, and I'm reaching out to anybody in the family of Valiant Barracuda stuff, these rubber seals that go around your taillight assemblies, I'm sure that is something that, you're only going to find somewhere in a Tibetan monastery. But if anybody knows of what you can do to replace those, I have a spare lamp, and looking at the seal on it, it's a more of a formed rubber plastic kind of thing that fits inside this metal housing. My option was to try to find some like tire tube rubber and just cut and fashion a replacement. But if anybody has a source for that kind of stuff, please let me know. So that's kind of where we're at right there, and continuing just to kind of get her all done up here. Did find out we seem to have a little bit of a issue with some power steering leakage down here. Not sure if it's the fitting or the pump. Could be the seals in the pump. But although most of the leakage, I mean, the pump's over there and the leakage is over here, and this is where we hook into the various steering. So it could be that we've just got some fittings or a pipe, you know, some of the plumbing is in disrepair and not the pump. We do have some grease and oil and, excuse me, Grandpa is trying to get on the ground without giving himself a concussion. But all in all, other than the pan's all in pretty good shape, yeah, we do have some grease and, you know, well, I mean, you know, the car's been sitting around for a while, but look, we don't appear to have any oil leakage from the front main seals. All of this buildup over here appears to be more concerned with years of buildup as well as this power steering leak. So we're going to shoot some of that super clean on all this undercarriage. We do have some parts that have been replaced under here, the idler arm, and I think I saw a tie rod end over here that might have been replaced. The nice thing about these cars in these days, you had grease zerks on all your joints, so you could actually lubricate the things and, you know, keep them maintained instead of replacing them all the time. I do suspect, and I can't really see it, and I'm not sure I can get anybody up there to see, but I think we're probably going to have to replace the motor mounts. Just getting an awful lot of shakage out of her when she's idling, more so than I would expect for good motor mounts. So we'll deal with that. But looking down, and I know it's kind of hard for y'all to see down through here, she's pretty solid. I mean, from the underside, all of the frame, the floor pans, everything are in fairly decent shape. I mean, there's going to be issues, and certainly I will want to put a new exhaust system on this one, because as I can see now, I've got one of the I've got some holes in that exhaust system back there in front of the differential. Well, that's all right. We've already been talking about some ideas on that. It does appear to have a new starter on it as well. I'm very grateful. This car was sold to me by a dear friend who has had the car in his care for a number of years. He's an old retired Army/Dodge mechanic, and he actually worked in a dealership the year this car was introduced to the market in 1966. And he and his son bought this car many years ago and brought it back to Georgia from Missouri, and he's had it in his shop as a project for a number of years. He got to the point where his age and health, he couldn't do anything with the car any further, and since he and I had been friends, we came to an agreement, and I've taken over the restoration project. So I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I hope you all will continue. We're not going to get to the oil change. You all know how we change oil. We dump the oil in the pan and all over ourselves and on the driveway, and then we, try to figure out what we're going to do with it after that. We drop the oil filter, and it gets crap all over everything that we got to clean up, which we already have plenty of that to do. So we're not going to get to the oil change on camera. That's kind of boring. If you want to see that, go down to your quick oil lube place. They can, show you how that's done. But we are going to work on getting some of this, all of this stuff cleaned up under here. Again, it's like I said, I can better evaluate what I got to work on getting fixed if I can clean it up and see what it looks like. And that's just kind of the way we're going to do. So if nothing else, we're going to be doing some mechanicals and a lot of, I don't know, janitorial. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, please hit the button below and tell all your friends, because I think this is going to be a lot of fun and I hope you want to be here for it. Thanks for watching.